So what happens when candidates who ask to be on a public Q&A decide to just walk out instead of answering questions? Well, today we're digging into a candidate webinar that went completely off the rails, leaving voters with a lot of questions about a really controversial zoning law and, frankly, the accountability of their elected officials. All right, so here's the setup. The stage was set for a pretty critical public discussion. A nonpartisan citizen group, SafeClinton.org, put together a webinar to get some clear answers from candidates on a key election issue. You know, the goal was simple. Let voters hear where the candidates stand on the town's super contentious conference center zoning law. This was supposed to be a moment for direct public accountability, happening just weeks before an election. And who was on this call? Well, you had the moderator, Graham Trask, and then the Democratic slate of candidates logged on. And it's important to remember, these weren't just any candidates. This group included the current town supervisor and the deputy supervisor, the very people running the town right now. But before the first question could even be asked, things took a really unexpected turn. The candidate said, "Hold on, we want to read a prepared statement first." So this was the heart of their issue. They claimed that their detailed written answers to questions hadn't been posted by the hosts, and because of that, instead of having a live back and forth, they told everyone to just go to their own party website to read their answers there. And with that, they were gone. They just logged off. I mean, this abrupt walkout left the moderator, the people watching, and the very voters they want to represent totally stunned. It looked a lot like they were hiding from open, public accountability, leaving all these crucial questions just hanging in the air. So what is this zoning law that's so controversial it would cause candidates to just bail on a Q&A? Well, left all alone on the call, the moderator, Graham Trask, carried on and explained the law that's really at the heart of this whole election. It all starts with something called the Town's Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted way back in 2012. You can think of this as the town's constitution for development. Its whole vision is about maintaining Clinton's rural character, its farms, and its scenic beauty. Now, this is the really crucial part. This plan isn't just a list of nice ideas or suggestions. It's legally binding. Every single zoning law that gets passed in the town is required by state law to line up with that vision of keeping the community rural. And this chart just lays the whole conflict out perfectly. On the one hand, you have the standard law for hotels. It restricts them to commercially zoned areas called hamlets, and it has clear limits on their size. But then you have this conference center law, Section 250-45, that was passed in 2021. And it looks like a giant backdoor, allowing basically unlimited hotel-style businesses right in the middle of protected rural and agricultural land. This huge difference between the two laws is what the moderator and the citizen group are calling a major loophole in the town's zoning, a loophole that seems to completely undermine the entire comprehensive plan. And the argument here is that the law is just dangerously vague. I mean, think about it. With no objective limits on the number of rooms or guests or events, the town's planning board has no clear rules to actually enforce. Every decision is just left up to interpretation, which creates huge legal risks for the town and a ton of uncertainty for its residents. And look, this isn't just some theoretical problem. There's a current application filed under this law for a massive resort. We're talking 250 guests and 150 employees. That's 400 people coming into a quiet, low-density agricultural zone every single day. Okay. So all of this brings the focus right back to political accountability and the actions or maybe the inaction of the town board. So let's just walk through the timeline that was presented. The law passes in 2021, and Michael Whitten, the current supervisor, was on the board then. For the last 2 years, the Democrats have had full control of the board, and these so-called loopholes have been a well-known public issue. They did pass a moratorium, but funny enough, it just happened to exclude the one massive project already being planned. And now, suddenly, right on the eve of an election, there's talk of looking into a change. And here's a key point of contention. The claim is that the board has only relied on legal advice from the very same town attorney who wrote the flawed law in the first place, and that they've allegedly turned down offers for independent, outside legal opinions. The moderator really framed the whole issue for voters as a simple question of trust. I mean, after 2 years of controlling the board and not fixing a law that was passed on their watch, can you really believe their last-minute promises to finally address it? You know, in the end, this walkout really highlights a fundamental problem. When elected officials who are connected to a controversial law refuse to answer direct questions about it, it just leaves you wondering, is this just a breakdown in communication? Or is it a deliberate choice to duck accountability? And more importantly, what does that mean for the voters they're supposed to be representing?